If it seemed like it was just yesterday that I analyzed a SnowRunner trailer for you guys, you would be right, because I did. However, they just dropped another one where they went even more in depth. So that's what we're talking about today. We're going to be talking about progression. We're going to be talking about what will happen once you get towards the end of the game, as well as a couple other features that we can at least speculate about. So let's go ahead and dive into this trailer and break it all down. Now, this trailer starts off with a familiar sight, which is the CK-1500 heading through the mud. However, it cuts directly to a couple of multiplayer shots that really show the variety of experiences and interactions you can have with other players. Now, they talk a little bit about customization, but they also talk about leveling up and finding new regions, new worlds, and how the game really is unlimited in terms of what paths you can take. They said there really is no waypoint system or a system to tell you, hey, you have to do this and then do this. And then, by the way, that's the airport, which we've been really wanting to see more of. At least I've been wanting to see more of. And then, of course, they quickly reference the contests, which are basically timed contracts that you have to complete within a certain amount of time, but you also have to plan for them, because if your vehicle can't complete them in the allotted amount of time, you don't really get much of a reward. So planning is definitely of the utmost importance there. Now, back to the no waypoints and no predetermined routes thing, you're free to literally go wherever you want. I mean, that's how this game has always been in terms of, spin tires to MudRunner, now to SnowRunner, but they're really going a lot more in depth on the fact that you really are going to have to rely on your wit, and you're going to have to rely on your knowledge of these in-game worlds. And by the way, 3 trucks heading down a runway is pretty epic looking, because you know full well that we're going to have drag races. I mean, not only do you know full well that we're going to have drag races, but we're going to drag race modded trucks there as well. Now, I wanted to go back to the customization part I want to go back to the customization portion later and show you guys a couple of the little tidbits that we're going to have to go in and pick out by hand. And also, somebody in the comments was like, boy, you can't just be calling that Lada a little hatchback. It's like, respect the Lada. You don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, I got you, bud. No worries there. But the trailer attachment is basically like, or the system for attaching trailers seems to be just about the same as how it's been in MudRunner previously. But they also said during that little portion of the trailer where they show them doing a rescue with a crane, they say that there will be a substantial reward for loading things up, for using the crane to load things up yourself. Now, they also showed finding landmarks and finding watch points as a particular point of interest in the trailer. So I definitely think that aside from finding watch points, there will be other things to find. And this little mud crossing, I wouldn't call it a bridge, but more like a little mud crossing, was really, really cool. And it just shows that there's going to be a lot more things to build than just bridges. And also, they said endgame contracts will span multiple maps and require a lot of planning to lead up to. And by the way, that dam was actually what we saw a little snippet of from the previous trailer that they released. So without any further ado, let's dive into the trailer and tear it apart. So there are a few shots that were taken right at the beginning of the trailer that I really wanted to dive into a little bit more, because they really show the spirit of what multiplayer in this series has always meant, and not only what it's always meant in general, but what it's always meant to me. I have so many great memories in multiplayer, ranging all the way back to the original Spin Tires and then also in MudRunner with some close friends of mine, and I was looking at the trailer and I was looking at some of these different multiplayer instances in the trailer, and I was like, you know what? This game is going to be so much fun. This game is going to be a place where people genuinely make memories and genuinely make new memories. And I know that some people are going to be like, get on with the emotional bullcrap. But to be fair, I feel like most people that have played this game in multiplayer will agree, well, at least played a game in this series in multiplayer, will agree that while it's a simple premise for a game, you really do create some really long-lasting memories in the multiplayer with your friends. Now, to touch on real quick, I would like to take a look at this cat in the garage, because this is the truck that we've seen that picture floating around everywhere with the fuel trailer, but it really does go to show that there are a lot of upgrades on this truck. There's bumpers, snorkels, a crane you could put on the back. It seems as though that there's a large variety of upgrades that can go on almost every larger truck. So we also need to talk about the ranking system. Now, aside from earning money, you'll also earn experience, which will go towards your level and rank, and that will in turn allow you to buy some trucks that are locked behind a level wall in the truck dealership. So some trucks are found throughout the world, whereas other trucks are found or are made available to buy by way of ranking up to the appropriate level. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we analyze the truck dealership a little bit later. Also, I would just like to check and make sure that I'm not the only one getting some mad Far Cry vibes from this picture. I mean, I can stare at it and go, wow, that's pretty, but I can also stare at it and go, wow, that looks a lot like Far Cry. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below on whether or not you guys are getting some crazy Far Cry vibes from that shot, because the longer I look at it, the more it screams Far Cry to me. Now, I won't spend too much time on this because obviously I've done a full video on the map size comparison, but they did highlight in the latest trailer that, you know, obviously SnowRunner was way bigger than MudRunner, and I think they really just wanted to show it off again in this little graphic because, I mean, not gonna lie, if I was them, I'd be wanting to show it off too if my game was that much bigger than the previous game in the series. I mean, heck yeah, I'd show it off. And yes, how could we have another SnowRunner video without talking about the airport? Now, a lot of people have really wanted to know more about the airport, myself included, and I'm happy to report to you guys that they've shown some new shots of the airport in this trailer. Not only this one here, where you seem to be pulling up with a fuel trailer, a large fuel trailer at that, but they also show a little bit later on a shot of 3 different trucks going down the runway, and I'm like, oh my god, drag strip. All day, every day. Now, hopefully it's not too badly affected by the fact that that's up in the, you know, northern reaches of Alaska, and it's going to be really cold up there, but still, drag races for days. Also, I just want to take a moment to point out that there is a contract in this game called Cousin Cletus. Just let that sink in for a minute. Let that sink in, the fact that there's a contract in this game literally called Cousin Cletus. Up next, we also get a little bit more of an in-depth look at what these timed contracts will look like, because that's been something that I've been really interested to see a little bit more details about. And basically, it says right here that for the Pinewood Express, your gold is going to be 8 minutes, silver is 9 minutes 20 seconds, and bronze is 9 minutes 20 seconds or more, with rewards of $950, $1,600 and $3,300 respectively, as well as 110 experience, 180 experience, or 360 experience. So, and that involves delivering wood to a church, delivering wood to the old house, and delivering to the drilling site. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, but I think these rush contracts will actually be really fun to do. Now, I won't spend too much time on this next shot, but I want you guys to kind of take in for a second how beautiful that night sky is. And I think they've really done a good job of amping up the quality of nighttime, because that was always a little bit of a gripe of mine with the previous Spin Tires and MudRunner games, was that nighttime wasn't really all that enjoyable because it was just plain dark, and there wasn't really anything redeeming about it to me. Like, in my eyes, it wasn't like, oh wow, night looks so cool and looks so good. For me, it was more like, okay, it's night, when can it be daytime again? But that shot, I think, might eventually be what makes me enjoy night a little bit more in this series. Coming up in this next shot, we also see one of the new loads that they have talked about and highlighted in a couple of different points, and these basically look like big crates. I'm not sure if this is if these are going to be a very specific load to certain trailers, or if you can put them on whatever you want, but nonetheless, it's another new load, and I'm always trying to find as many details as I can about those new haulable loads. Now, here's where things get interesting, because we're talking about the truck dealership. So, for example, this truck here on the screen, the International that you're looking at, basically has a price of $82,100, and it's open to you as long as you have enough money. However, the truck in this shot, which is the Cat, not only is it not available to you, but it basically says explore the world to unlock this truck, whereas the other cat, the CT680, requires rank 12 to unlock, and it actually shows you how many more experience points you need in order to get to that level. So it's really interesting that they're going about it in multiple different ways here, and they're really having you approach it from two different standpoints, right? You can find the trucks throughout the world, but there are some that are going to just flat out require experience to unlock. Now, I'm pretty sure what we're looking at here is a representation of what one of the new lumber mills could potentially look like, which it looks a lot more fleshed out than the old MudRunner lumber mills. The old MudRunner lumber mills were very generic in my eye, and they kind of got a little bit old, but that definitely looks a lot more well put together, a lot more well built, and a lot more believable. And of course, the drag strip, or, well, really, the runway, but it's, I mean, I know I keep going on about how we're going to use this as a drag strip, but, boy, how can you not? How can you not use that as a drag strip? You got 3 trucks lined up side by side. You could probably fit a 4th one if you grouped them a little closer together and just take off and figure out who has the fastest truck. Guarantee you that's going to be a thing, and I guarantee you that's going to be a blast. And I don't know why, but I felt the need to launch it off that edge. I generally always do whenever I get to the end of this course, but, you know, it's one of those things. Now, here's something we really haven't seen before, and that's the trailer store. Now, the trailer store, really, really interesting, and it actually goes into some prices here. So, for example, the ramped flatbed trailer, $4,200, and it gives you a little representation of what it can pull. It gives you a maintenance trailer, $7,500, service trailer, $6,400, and heavy-duty lowboy trailer, which is also $6,400. So, they basically give you a little bit of a breakdown here of how much each one costs, what it can haul, how many repair points and fuel it can carry, and it really does a good job of breaking down exactly what you'll need to know before you purchase a trailer and head out into the woods. And speaking of the woods, feast your eyes on this gorgeous landscape shot. I love the fact that they've been really specific about including some landscape shots in their trailers, because they really have a gorgeous landscape here to work with and a gorgeous landscape to look at. And I think they really should show it off, because they're really pushing this game to new heights now, and I think it really needs to be appreciated for that. And speaking of a snowy environment, this shot actually shows one of the pipeline scenarios in the Alaska region, where you're pulling up with one of those, again, like sort of mega-sized trailers to actually put a piece into that pipeline. So I think the pipeline is going to play a major role in the Alaska map, and they pretty much have already stated that it will, but I'm excited to try those contracts out. Also, to clear up any rumors on paying for fuel, no, you will not have to. This shot right here just shows pulling up to a gas station and filling up with gas, no payment of your in-game money required. Now, once you get to this part of the trailer, they break you down into the global map that shows the different individual maps within the regions, and they do this to talk about the endgame contracts, which they say stretch between different maps within one region and will require a lot of careful planning and preparation to get ready for. They then cut to this wide shot showing the dam that we saw someone driving over in the previous trailer, but we never actually saw a full shot of it. And the size of that lake is just immense. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, and really, again, shows the absolute lengths they've gone to with the graphics. But I think those endgame contracts are not only going to be nerve-wracking, but could also be potentially very difficult, but also a lot of fun. And last but not least, we're going to finish up with a shot of what I think is going to be the most fun in the entire game, exploring the wilderness with your friends. And this is really that same trio of vehicles that we saw in the beginning of the trailer, but to be honest, it's going to be just as special as it always was, and I feel like you're going to make just as many memories as you always have exploring the wilderness with your friends in SnowRunner as you did exploring the wilderness with your friends in MudRunner and Spin Tires previously. So, if you guys enjoyed this trailer breakdown, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed, and hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell to stay up to date on all things SnowRunner, and I will see you guys in the next one. Talk to y'all later.